Hi, everybody. This is your librarian, Mr. Tran, and this is the one, the only FAQtual Warrior podcast. I'm joined here today by the incomparable Mr. Brandon Lowe. We're going to be going over just some information about who we are, what we're about, and what we do. Brandon, say hi.
Hi, my name is Brandon Lowe, and I am a photo teacher at Yerba Buena High School.
So, Brandon, actually tell me, why do you want to do this?
All right, so aside from being a teacher at Yerba Buena High School, I'm sort of acting as a producer for this podcast series, mostly because I listen to a lot of podcasts myself, and I've always wanted to do one that focuses on issues here at YB.
All right, so I guess I should talk about myself rather than just be an anonymous voice over some audio cast. I am Mr. Tran. I'm the librarian here at Yerba Buena High School. I suppose part of the reason I'm doing this is because Mr. Lowe's making me. Well, anyway, I'm mostly doing this because I think it's a great way to actually reach out to the YB community and actually help everyone find the information they need and really just connect with everyone. All right, so now that we know our players and all of this, let's actually get down to the details and the nitty-gritty. So, Mr. Lowe, tell me, what exactly is the FAQtual Warrior? What are we here for? What do we do?
So I don't think this needs to be set in stone in any way. I think it can be somewhat organic in that we can change things as we need to change things. But what I had envisioned for this show is that it's a place for students to ask questions and to get answers from our one and only librarian and other staff members, depending on what the question is. Now, this is not anything that has happened before. We've never had a show like this before at our school, so it's kind of an exciting time. We're sort of pioneers in that way. But that was sort of the idea that I wanted us to follow. So I'm really interested to see where we go with this. I think that I can start us on a direction here, but then it's going to be really up to the students and the staff to decide the direction that we actually go on.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Brandon. All right, so why don't we actually move on? I know that our students have a lot of questions that they'd like answered. So why don't we bring up the file and see what we've got?
All right, yeah, I'm going to bring up right now, we had this response from a Google form. We are asking the librarian some different questions, and this was already asked to certain focus classes, and so it was about the library in general. So I'm going to go ahead and pick out some questions here. The first...
Okay, fire away.
Okay, so the first question is, when will the library be open?
Well, right now, truthfully, I don't know because for those of you who don't know, last school year, the library and most of the administration building was torn down. We're currently in the process of actually continuing the tear down to rebuild it. Originally, construction was planned to be finished within a year, but, we don't know where that's going right now, so I don't have an answer.
I want to chime in a little bit on this question because I have been to some meetings. I was department chair last year, so I definitely heard a lot about this plans for the new library. So the new library is supposed to be in the middle of the new student union, which has yet to actually break ground as far as I can see. I know that the area has been fenced off, but no one knows what's actually going on in there. As far as actual announcements, there's not a lot of progress at this time, but the principal has told me that they are supposed to be completing construction in the fall. But with construction, there are always delays.
Yeah, well, hey,
throw that
fingers
out there.
crossed. Let's just hope for the best, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. So, okay, this next one is usually how many books do you read a month? So I'm going to let the librarian answer this one.
How many books do I read a month? Let's see. I guess that really depends on what you count as a book. If we're including, let's say, your average graphic novel or comic book, I don't know, 20. But if we're talking about just really just books, that could be anywhere from 5 to 6. Usually I'm reading some sort of novel, some sort of book on politics, philosophy, history. I'm actually reading one right now called The Renegade's Guide to U.S. History. It's a really interesting piece.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds really interesting. Okay, so I'm going to move on to this next question here. I guess we have a Harry Potter fan in the audience. This next question is, are there any Harry Potter books in the library?
Yes and no. Do we have those books in storage? Yes. Do you have access to it? Well, no, because we don't have a library yet. So we do have Harry Potter books, but we just don't have a library to put them in yet.
Yes, so in the future, the principal, Mr. Nguyen, has explained that there will be actual books, and there may be some opportunities to request books in our new library. So we'll kind of revisit that in the future as we get some more updates. So there seems like there are no available books to check out at this time, even though we do have some books somewhere in storage and somewhere in our other district libraries. Okay, so the next one here is, how often does Photo get new textbooks? That's an interesting question.
Well, I got nothing for you. You're going to have to ask Mr. Lowe on that one. So take it away.
Yeah. I can answer that one because I do teach the photo class. I teach photo 1, 2, and 3. And when I first came in, there were already some books, and some were very dated. Now at YB, we've actually moved away from film, and so by doing so, we've outdated one of our books already. So that one is sort of being pulled out of circulation. This year, however, we did get a brand new textbook, and that does not happen very often. So let's see, the question is, how often does it happen? I would say very rarely. But this year, we do have a new textbook.
Ooh.
All right, the next question here. Actually, this one has to do with the library again. We sort of answered in the other one, so I'll skip that one. So, will there be books beyond what we have read for classes? That's an interesting question.
In the library, yes. The plan is to actually have a pretty wide variety of books. Most of our physical collection will be focused on actually books for leisure reading, so expect to see a lot of different kinds of novels, a lot of young adult material. So we're going to be looking at sci-fi, romance, fantasy, spy thrillers, murder mysteries, you name it. We're going to try and have a nice, well-rounded collection for the library.
Yeah, that sounds really exciting. And let's see, there was another one about where the library will be. So do you want to address that one?
Library will be right where you see the giant fence surrounding its decimated rubble right now. Other than that, that's the best answer I can give you.
Right. So it's going to be in the new student union once that is actually built.
Yeah. Let's skip around a little more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, when can I turn in my books from prior years? That's an interesting one.
Well, so here's the thing. My policy as librarian is that I work for you. You don't work for me. So with that in mind, I'm very much against actually fining students for fees or things like that. There's a good chance you probably have a book that you need to return. Right now, there is a general policy of waiving any of those. So if you have a book from last year, you get to keep it. So don't worry about it.
Wow, that's a nice forgiveness program right there. You get a free book.
Right? Now, if only that would apply to my student loans.
There are programs, actually, and they were talking about that at the district. Anyway, side note. Okay, so there's another question here. where can we find the library
On campus.
Okay,
Yep.
that was already answered.
Okay. Keep moving.
Yeah, where can I check out books right now? So we know that we can't check out here at the YB library, but is it possible to find other libraries either in the community or other schools that we
Yes,
check out?
absolutely. In this area alone, you have the Tully Library. That's just out here on Tully Road, right at the intersection of Tully and Lucretia Avenue. That's actually run by the city of San Jose. It's really nice library. You have access to all sorts of books, fiction, nonfiction, science fiction, manga, fantasy, pretty much anything you could need, you can probably find there too.
I've actually used the Martin Luther King Library before, and they are connected to that Tully Library.
Yes, they're all part of the same organization.
Right, and you can actually order or look for books on their website and then go pick them up, or if they don't have them there on site, you can actually order them to come in and you can pick them up.
Yep.
They also have online resources. You don't have to check out the book sometimes, or if you have an e-reader, you may be able to download the electronic version of the book. So that is a really powerful resource that one day when we get our website online that we can kind of connect back to. But you can still access that now, actually.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to move us on to the next question here. The next one is, will the library have some sources that will help students get a job recommendations, and etc.?
Well, as far as I know, we do have a career center here, and they do. I believe they do a pretty good job at actually helping students to find work, prepare resumes, things like that. But yeah, we'll also be including materials here in the library on just things like resume writing techniques, how to find a job, how to write cover letters. I'm planning to look into maybe even holding some just after-school programs or programs during lunch about that on occasion as well. So just check back with the library once it's up and running.
Okay, here's another question. What is MLA format for essay?
What is the MLA format for an essay? All right, so does this person basically just mean like they just don't know what MLA format is in general?
It could be. Maybe we'll just talk about it in general,
Okay.
and then maybe point to some resources they might actually see what it is.
Well, sounds good. So MLA stands for Modern Language Association Format. It is a way to basically lay out a written work and also to annotate all of the information that you present in it. So, it's generally used in most English classes. It gets used a lot in English classes in college as well. It's usually one of the two notation formats that get used. The other is APA, but you generally don't use that unless you work in computer science or other forms of hard research like that.
This one looks like kind of fun here. Is there any good mystery fan fiction you recommend in the library?
Okay, so fan fiction, that's a incredibly large field. If you need to find fan fiction in general for nearly anything, I suppose the best resource might be the website fanfiction.net. They've got everything from like Harry Potter fan fiction to Naruto fan fiction to stuff for Warhammer 40K. Yeah, anything. As for an actual mystery, if I was going to recommend to you any mystery right now, I would probably recommend The Devotion of Suspect X by Keigo Higashino. Fantastic book. It's a really, really short read. I finished it in a night. It's actually about watching the detectives and the murderers. You already know who did it, and it's a really more this almost cat and mouse game of who's going to catch who.
That's interesting. I almost want to read that now.
Yeah. I got a copy. I'll bring it to you sometime.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go with this one. Are there any inspirational books at the library?
Are there any inspirational books at the library? Well, let's see here. don't actually have a library right now, so how do I answer that question? Should I recommend some books that are inspirational?
Maybe titles then.
Let's see. If I was gonna recommend some books that are inspirational, for me, I think, you know, I guess I'm kind of old in that sense. I did find a lot of books, like, let's say, the Trial and Death of Socrates was actually a very, very inspirational book. If you want to really look at, philosophy and ethics and, democratic principles, things like that. Another book would probably be, and this is going to sound weird, I would highly recommend as an inspirational book, All-Star Superman. Yes, it's a comic book. Yes, it's about Superman, but it's a distillation, in my opinion, of basically a lot of the most positive elements of just being a human being.
All right. I think we can start to wrap this up now.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that's just about all the time we have for today. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening. Log in next time, and remember, information is ammunition. I'm Mr. Tran.
I am Mr. Lowe.
Signing off.